This time
Unhooked.
on Sydney Harbour Force, Tug Captain Dom has to guide one of the heaviest fuel supertankers to ever enter the port of Sydney.
That's a lot of dirt.
Through the shallowest parts of the harbour.
So we're only looking at a metre of clearance underneath the vessel at the moment.
Stop! Building manager Dean battles turbulent winds to carry out urgent maintenance on top of the Sydney Opera House.
It's the gust what we're worrying about, which we can't predict.
You can be swung across the building. It is probably the most dangerous thing.
Dive supervisor Nick races to remove a sunken vessel out of the path of huge container ships.
Because when we do inflate these bags, it becomes very dynamic if it doesn't come up the way we want it to. Get up the bow, get up the bow.
Iconic Sydney Harbour. It's one of the biggest and busiest waterways on the planet.
You need to move through, please!
But behind the beauty lies a beast.
Being on the water is a dangerous place. Sydney Harbour's most unforgiving.
Hands.
Keeping this giant harbour running takes an elite team.
Stop the vessel now!
Being in the water police, you never know what you're going to get.
It's a boat. Someone's sitting on the bow.
The office is the best city in the world.
Yeah, 2805.
This is 28, go ahead.
Just had a report of a 80-foot cruiser coming in through Botany Heads, which is taking all water. It's under tow. I just need to confirm if there's anyone on board.
Sydney Harbour Operations Manager Damien Logue is responsible for maritime boating safety.
So I was going to send one of our crews down there to have a quick look, see what's happening.
Damien is supervising the emergency response to a sinking 25-metre-long motor cruiser in the main shipping channel at Port Botany.
So we've got some vision through from Vessel Traffic Services, or VTS. We've really got to make sure, first and foremost, if anyone on board, whilst it's sinking. Where it is at the moment, it looks like it's going to be going down in towards the shipping channel.
Pan. This is Sydney VTS. Is the vessel, all vessels in the area that can respond, please respond to...
The Port Authority's Vessel Traffic Services is monitoring the crisis from the shipping lane CCTV cameras.
Yeah, just calling in regards to a report of a sinking vessel.
Appears to be down by the stern. Please try and ascertain as to whether or not there are any persons on board the vessel being towed.
We'll get some crews on site and give us more of an update on the situation.
Duty Harbour Master Cameron Butchart needs to ensure there is no one trapped inside the vessel, which is being towed by a smaller boat.
Just get onto that cutter. I guess priority one is safety of life at sea.
If the vessel sinks in the middle of the channel, it will stop all shipping in and out of the Port of Sydney.
2805.
This is 28, go ahead.
Which would be a devastating blow to Australia's economy.
Yeah, 28, just a quick update from VTS. So I'm actually looking on the footage now. It looks like it's stern down. It's about to go under.
Have you been in contact with the tow vessel at all? Can we...
Unable to contact the tow vessel.
How many locations do we want to look at getting done today?
I'd ideally like to get a dozen locations done, so 12 in total. Whether or not we're going to be able to achieve that today is going to be another thing.
At Australia's iconic Sydney Opera House, building manager Dean Jakubowski and ropes access specialist Joe Anderson are preparing to climb the summit of the famous sails.
Based on the venue activity, we've had to clear the area underneath the direct perimeter that we're working, which is actually one of the main tourist locations that people come and see. So if we don't get it done today, there's not going to be another opportunity.
Dean and Joe are conducting the first ever survey that will allow them to assess the concrete infrastructure beneath some of the 1 million granite tiles, thanks to new camera technology.
So what we'll do is we'll insert the video scope in through the tile lids, go down, have a look at the main structure, which will give you a good indication of how the building's holding up.
Any signs that water has breached the protective tiles and caused structural decay will lead to major maintenance work.
Dean to Diane.
Go ahead.
Diane, can I get an update on the wind speed and potential gust speed on A2 sail, please?
So the current wind speed on A2 sails is 4.6. And the gust of the wind speed coming 10.2.
In the Opera House's dedicated weather station, Building Operations Supervisor Nyan Debnath is monitoring strong wind gusts on top of sail A2.
Wind gusting over 10 metres per second is a real concern for us. But if it gets up to 12 metres per second, that's when we've got to call it. It's a real safety concern for us.
Yeah, as soon as you open that hatch, you can feel all the wind come through.
You can see that wind starting to gust up now. We're going to abseil over the side of A2 sail, which is the largest sail. In between the concert hall and the Jones Sutherland Theatre, it's almost like a wind tunnel.
The unique design of the Opera House forces strong winds from the harbour to squeeze between the buildings, which increases the wind speed and air pressure, creating a powerful and unpredictable wind tunnel effect. At 68 metres, falling from these heights would be fatal.
Dean to Nyan.
Go ahead.
Can I get an update on the wind speed on top of A2, please?
So the current wind speed is 7.5 and the gust is 11.1.
If the wind reaches 12 metres per second, it will be blustering over 40 kilometres an hour, generating even faster wind gusts as it channels through the wind tunnel and over the sails.
If elements change while you're doing a job like the wind, you can be swung across the building. It is probably the most dangerous thing. Constantly swinging, the wind's blowing you, you're getting abrasion on your ropes. Obviously, you know, only ends up one way, not a good way.
It's a race to get the survey underway before the wind speed reaches the critical 12 metre per second danger point, or their small window of opportunity will close for another 6 months.
If it gets up to around 12, we're going to call it a day. We want to get over the side before that happens.
So I've got some vision through from Vessel Traffic Services, or VTS. The boat's gone down. Let me know when you're on scene.
Copy that. Sydney VTS, Alvina.
Alvina, Sydney VTS.
In Port Botany, Vessel Traffic Services are in contact with first responders on scene, who are trying to assess if there is anyone on board the sunken vessel.
VTS, Alvina, we are alongside. There appears to be no passengers on board.
I mean, we're lucky there's no one on board, but our major concern now is just making sure that it's out of the way from the shipping channel.
With no lives in danger, Sydney Harbour Operations Manager Damien Logue has a new challenge. The stricken vessel has sunk right on the edge of one of the busiest shipping channels in Australia and is now at risk of drifting into the sea lane, which would block the entrance to the port or collide with oncoming container ships.
Logistically challenging is when these vessels enter the Port of Botany, there's very little area between their keel and the seabed, and a lot of the time it's only metres. So a sinking vessel like that sitting on the seabed, worst case scenario is it has the potential now to stop shipping in the Port of Botany.
40% of all Sydney's household goods, including food, depends on Port Botany. It processes 2.5 million containers and generates almost $4 billion a year to Australia's economy. Shutting it down would be a costly disaster.
We'll also now hand this over to New South Wales Maritime and start looking at our options to salvage the vessel and try and lift her out as quick as we can.
Righto, boys. The vessel's 25 tonne. They're going to put heaps of lift bags on this thing. She's coming up, whether she likes it or not.
Damien has called in a team of emergency salvage divers, led by dive supervisor Nick Rigby.
We don't know how she's going to go when she does leave bottom. You never do. It is 14 metres. It is pretty dangerous, and let's just get it done right, because when we do inflate these bags, it becomes very dynamic if it doesn't come up the way we want it to, and then it's sort of all hands on deck, go, go, go.
Timing is critical. The team will use inflatable lift bags filled with compressed air to refloat and remove the vessel before it drifts into the middle of the shipping lane and shuts down the port.
So it's crucial that we get the divers down, have a look to see what's going on to try and get it out of the water as quickly as we can. If it comes into the shipping channel, it's going to stop all the big merchant ships, container ships coming in. I mean, it'll put a halt to all the, obviously, shipping around Sydney.
So we're currently sitting around 68 metres above sea level. We're at the summit of the top of A2, which is the highest point of the Sydney Opera House. Diane, can I get an update on the wind reading, please?
A2 sails is going over 10 at 7 a.m.
Thanks, mate.
At the Sydney Opera House, increased winds threaten to shut down building manager Dean and his team's inspection of the iconic sails.
Wind's starting to pick up a bit.
Cancelling now would delay this critical building survey for another 6 months.
Currently the wind's sitting at around about 10 metres per second. They reckon it's going to come up to around 12 metres per second in the next hour or so, so we're going to have to get over there, get what we need to do and get out.
Dean must complete at least a dozen samples before the wind speed reaches the 12 metre per second danger point. He needs to find out if water has penetrated the tiles, causing corrosion on the concrete beneath.
We're going to go over the side today and have a look underneath these tile lids and hopefully not to find anything. And it's the gusts what we're worrying about, which we can't predict. Rob! I've still got comms back to the office who are talking to me to say, you know, what the updates are happening with the wind. So they'll monitor live time. Okay, no worries. We're going to go down just to the second chevron. We've had a massive downpour over the last couple of days. So what we want to do is where those sealants are, which we call the tile lid to tile lid joints, we're going to boroscope in through there to make sure there's no water getting in there. So at the moment, I'm sitting on, as you can see, that's one chevron or one tile lid. This sealant joint is basically what we want to see to make sure. We want to go through that to have a look on the underside of the tile lid, but also have a look at the master structure. Yeah, it's starting to gust up a little bit now. Dean to Nyan, Dean to Nyan. Can I get a wind update for A2 sail, please?
Stand by. 10.2, and by 10 o'clock it will go up to 11.1.
Yeah, I'll just keep an eye on it.
This has remote control, so you can move around the edge, so we can actually travel 2 metres underneath the tile lid.
The boroscope will offer the first glimpse of the concrete infrastructure beneath these tiles since the uniquely designed landmark was completed in 1973.
So recording location A2E17.
And will reveal if rain and salty sea spray from the harbour has actually penetrated the joints between the tiles.
Just heading through in past the sealant. That's the main structure. So you can see there, you can see the actual quality of the concrete underneath there. It's so close.
Looks in good condition.
Although it looks clean in there.
The first survey location shows no sign of water damage.
So we're going to go in here.
But Dean still has to take another 11 samples for the building engineers to review. Just one sign of water corrosion could lead to costly repairs.
What's that over to the left there, mate?
Looks like staining.
Looks like a bit of water staining, doesn't it? Yeah, we'll have to have a closer look at that one. There's a little bit of water staining that we need to have a look at.
Yeah, better get it checked out.
So what we need to do here, mate, is let's come on the outside and push all the way up to the bow. There's a bung that we need to place in there. I believe it's starboard side after the bow thruster. It's an inlet hole for an anchor locker drain. They want that patched.
At Port Botany, dive supervisor Nick Rigby and his salvage team are racing to remove a 25-metre sunken motor cruiser before it drifts into the shipping channel and stops container ships from entering the port.
There you go, mate. That's the one.
We'll get a seal easy. It's clean all the way around.
The dive team must first chock up any holes, which will prevent the 25-ton vessel from taking on water once refloated to the surface.
Yeah, they're going in, but they're a little bit more elongated, so we've got to pack the cavities with a bit of rubber. They're not a circle, they're like an oval shape. Probably the best I can probably get it. No, that's probably good enough, mate. That'll stop something, so there should be another one somewhere in that vicinity.
Nick plans to attach 14 lift bags to specific places around the sunken vessel, which they will inflate using an air compressor.
When it does leave bottom, it's when the real fight of a salvage begins. I like to think of it as going toe-to-toe with a combatant, you know, like it's a mad adrenaline rush. It's coming up. You got the divers in the bottom, air going to the divers, and there can be all kinds of things, you know, entanglements, and which we try to avoid. There's a lot that goes into a salvage that is a very active plan.
What have we got?
Pollution-wise, seems to be pretty good. We were lucky that it wasn't carrying any fuel.
Harbour Operations Manager Damien Logue has tasked Boating Safety Officer Fiona Thompson to enforce a 100-metre safety exclusion zone.
We need to ensure that any of the shipping is not impeded, and also that the salvage operations aren't impeded as well.
And at that point there, Dave, that's where our first lifting assembly is going to go through there. We've got good access to that whole section there, eh?
While the dive team continue to make the vessel watertight.
Yeah, so we've just noticed that this PWC operator has been hanging around.
Fiona has spotted a man on a jet ski who has breached the safety exclusion area and is dangerously close to the dive operation.
Excuse me, what are you doing?
So the heads can get quite notoriously rough, and this is 3 to 4 metres, see it on the cliffs.
In the rough seas near the harbour entrance, tugboat captain Dom McCarran is leading his fleet of tugs on a dangerous escort mission to guide the Norwegian supertanker SKS Duro.
Here she is, big girl.
120,000 tonnes of highly explosive aviation fuel, one of the heaviest and most dangerous payloads to ever enter Sydney Harbour.
She's super heavy, there's not much boat that's not in the water.
SKS Duro, Sydney Pilots, Channel 6.
Before Dom's tug fleet can connect lines to the ship, harbour pilot Dale Thompson must board the 250-metre-long crude oil tanker.
Yeah, just wanted to confirm you have man ropes rigged with your pilot ladder, Captain.
As a specialist navigator of Sydney's heavily congested shipping lanes, Dale must guide the supertanker through the shallowest channel, beneath the iconic Harbour Bridge and close to residential buildings, before making a narrow turn into dock at the Gore Cove fuel storage facility.
Our job is as much about protecting the route for trade, if you like, and keeping that open and protecting everything in and around Sydney Harbour. The Opera House, the Harbour Bridge, and all the iconic foreshore.
Dale and Dom must work together to carefully manoeuvre the 120,000-tonne payload through the shallow harbour channels without running the ship aground.
The charted depth is 13.7 metres, and this vessel draws, that's her draft. The distance from the waterline to the bottom of the ship is 13.1 metres.
So my biggest consideration today amongst all those factors are underkeel clearance.
But first, Dale needs to board the fuel tanker, which is being hampered by a large sea swell.
Oh, there's a fair bit of swell. There's probably 4 metres there. What we'll do was we'll get him on a bit of speed on a southerly heading, then just do a hard over, all right? Should flatten the swell out nicely with this displacement draft. It can be a dangerous operation, but the pilots take pride in boarding ships in marginal weather.
Transferring between moving vessels at sea comes with extreme risk. The container ship and boarding vessel must run at the exact same speed.
All right, Simon. Unhooked.
And Dale must judge the rising sea swell to know if and when to leave his boat to commit to the supertanker's rope ladder.
Next left, all right?
Looks like staining.
Looks like a bit of water staining, doesn't it? Yeah, we'll have to have a closer look at that one.
At the Sydney Opera House, Dean and his team have beaten the rising winds and completed their building inspection, but his surveys revealed alarming evidence.
That's actually right on the main structure.
Yeah.
You can't really see on this screen, but we'll have to take it back and show the engineers.
Water appears to have penetrated the tiles beneath the famous sails.
So we'll take it back to the office, get the engineers out, have a closer look at the footage that we've got, and then go from there.
Any signs of corrosion or cracking in the concrete structure would mean major maintenance works.
We've done about 12 video scope penetrations into the side of the building. The video scope had an extension on it of 2 metres. So we're able to get right down to have a really good reflection of what's actually happening underneath there. The majority of it looks really, really good, but there is a section that I just want to roll your eyes over.
Dean's called in diagnostic engineer Simon Steck, who will have the final say in determining the fate of the harbour's most iconic building.
Because what you're trying to look for is displacement of concrete.
Yeah.
There's no cracking on the concrete, which looks generally in pretty good nick. It's amazing, it's a building of this age, this close to water. The maintenance has been kept up to date, and that shows the condition of the concrete.
So it's been great news coming back from the engineers today. The building is in such good condition.
This new technology will allow Dean and his team to continue to monitor the building's infrastructure well into the future, leaving the Sydney Opera House on track to reach its projected 250-year design life.
Sydney Opera House stands on the peninsula of the Sydney Harbour. It's exposed to all the elements, the wind, the salts. To see that the building is in actually this condition is absolutely phenomenal. It's a real testament to the guys who actually built the Sydney Opera House, and it's so relieving to be able to actually turn around and say that it's in such good condition.
This is Marine Rescue Sydney. We've received a report of a broken down vessel in the ferry channel just east of Bradley's Head. Over.
Marine Rescue Sydney, this is Port Jackson 30 received. We are not far from that and we can proceed.
As morning rush hour ramps up on the harbour, Marine Rescue's Port Jackson Unit Commander Greg Urand and his crew, Claire, Thosh and Millsy, have received an urgent call from radio dispatch to assist a vessel in distress.
We've got a vessel situated in the shipping channel with thousands of tonnes of Manly Ferry heading towards it.
Hang on, guys!
The vessel has broken down and is now stranded in the middle of the harbour's busiest ferry transit lane, which during the peak period sees an average of 14 ferry movements every hour to and from the city.
Right in front of us?
Oh, yep.
Got it. What's your name? Stephen, I'm Greg.
He's in the middle of a shipping lane and we've got to get him out of here fast.
The man is in the direct path of the double-decker ferries, which carry up to 1,000 passengers and have complete right-of-way over all vessels on the harbour.
You can see a Manly Ferry coming and they take 200 metres to slow down.
I'll throw you a line. OK, Thosh, let's go. Yeah, idle forward. We just want to clear the Manly Ferry, that's all.
Marine Rescue Sydney, we have that distress vessel in tow.
The ferry is 400 metres away and closing.
We're just going to move over to the starboard side of the channel and that'll give the ferry master an indication that we're out of his way.
Greg's crew tow the stricken vessel safely out of the danger zone with seconds to spare.
Port Jackson 30, this is Sydney. We just had reports of a vessel sinking in Lavender Bay. No further details. Over.
Greg, we got a vessel sinking Lavender Bay.
We've got to drop our boat that we're towing at a mooring and we've got to get there as quickly as we can. Can you take it up a bit, please, Helm?
Dropping the broken-down boat at a local mooring still leaves a 5-kilometre sprint across the harbour to the sinking boat in Lavender Bay, next to the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Looking for a vessel that's sinking, guys. We're waiting on an update.
On arrival, details are sketchy. There is no description of the sinking vessel, and it is unknown if the owner or anyone else is on board.
The wooden one. See how it's listing at the back? Yeah.
The 12-metre cruiser is taking on water where the engines are located.
Hey mate, is there anyone on board? Is anybody on board?
The team need to approach cautiously. Water on electrical wiring could trigger a fire, and with fuel tanks, there's a risk of an explosion.
We have no idea. Somebody could be unconscious in there. We just don't know. Is anybody on board?
All right, Simon. On hot.
8 kilometres out to sea.
Next left, all right?
Harbour pilot Dale Thompson is judging vessel speeds and an unpredictable sea swell to board the 250-metre Norwegian supertanker SKS Duro.
Afternoon. Right, Simon?
Sydney video. Pilot Thompson on board the inbound SKS Duro.
Once on board, Dale must communicate with tugboat captain Dom McCarran and his team
Dom, I'll get your line up centre-lead aft.
to manoeuvre 120,000 tonnes of highly flammable aviation fuel through the harbour's challenging and shallow shipping channel.
So she's really heavy, 120,000 tonne displacement. She's drawing 13.1 metres. In the deepest part of the channel, we'll have 13.7. So at any point, we'll only have half a metre of clearance underneath us. So everything we do today is going to have to be pinpoint precision, and it's critical that we get it right.
Dom's tugs still need to connect their tow lines to the ship, but the sea swell has risen to over 5 metres.
The swell basically lifts us up and drops us down. So as we're working, putting the line up, it can make it very challenging.
Martinique, you've got 200 tonnes there, Dom.
200 tonne on the gear. Thanks, Dale.
Rural's 81 tonnes.
Connected to the stern of the ship, Dom's tugboat will act as the ship's emergency brake, applying up to 200 tonnes of force on his tow line if a collision on the harbour looks likely.
Even with all the power we've got here today, we've got 3 tugs assisting. This ship can easily take 2.5 ship lengths to stop, so in excess of 500 metres, just under a kilometre if the speed's wrong.
Inside the harbour, the tug crews are on heightened alert as they carefully guide the supertanker and its dangerous flammable cargo.
So we're just going to have to watch this traffic here, guys.
Through Australia's most congested waterway, leading to their first challenge.
It's the picture postcard shot at the harbour, but it's also a critical turn as we go around.
Dom and his team must manoeuvre the Duro 90 degrees on a blind corner through the increasingly shallow part of the harbour.
So I've just got to be really careful here as we make this turn. Our clearance on the safe water mark directly ahead of us, because that'll start to close quite quickly.
The harbour depth is now at 13.7 metres. With 120,000 tonnes of aviation fuel, the Duro's keel is sitting only half a metre from the sea floor.
I think the worst case scenario for a move like this is obviously grounding. We don't have much room underneath the vessel, and if anything was to happen here, it would be devastating, especially with the product we're carrying. That's a lot of dirt we're turning up here now in this turn. We're extremely close to the bottom floor. Me! That's a lot of dirt.
You can't be in here. This is an exclusion zone.
At Port Botany, boating safety officer Fiona has stopped a man on a jet ski who has breached the safety exclusion zone of an emergency salvage operation.
Okay, you're Stephen. We spoke on the phone.
How are you?
Yeah, good. Just noticed you hanging around the boat.
That's why I'm here, just watching them, making sure it's going smoothly, which it is.
Stephen Gavanis is the owner of the sunken vessel. He recently bought the 1986 custom-built cruiser called Awesome for $50,000, with big plans to restore it back to her former glory. But he is now facing a $70,000 salvage bill.
I bought this boat, we got it seaworthy, put new bilge pumps, put just the here into Botany Bay.
Awesome was being towed to a shipyard nearby when the boat started to take on water.
But as soon as we come here into Botany Bay, we had a following sea, so the water was washing up onto the back of the boat. And that's what caused water to come into the boat. And slowly it filled up with water. Unfortunately, it is where it is now, but we'll get it out and we'll probably still fix it.
15 metres beneath the surface, the dive team raced to get 14 inflatable lift bags attached before the 25-ton vessel drifts further into the busy shipping channel.
Okay, so we're looking like we're just about got the first lift bag kind of there. And then I think maybe it might be worthwhile getting ratchet straps onto it.
Probably just like leave them, put them on, but leave them loose until we maybe get a bit of air in them.
Yeah, for sure.
Each lift bag must be strategically placed around the boat with slings on both sides of the aluminium hull. Once the bags are inflated, it is critical Awesome refloats evenly to the surface so the team can pump it out and tow it from the danger zone before nightfall.
If we don't get the gunnels and the deck level out of the water, we have no chance of getting the water to pump the water out. So essentially, we've got to get her proud enough from the sea level to be able to get pumps in there, suck all the water out there, and then she can sort of start floating up on her own way. Hopefully she comes up nice and stable, and it'll be a real good finish. Sometimes they don't go to plan. So you're going to head back to the stern there, mate, and keep filling up those stern lift bags?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it hot, mate.
Right, lads, make it hot.
If it all goes according to Nick's plan, the 14 airbags will lift up to 28 tons, enough to bring Awesome back to the surface.
Get you back and see what happens. Showtime.
Awesome's owner Stephen waits to see if the refloat operation is a success.
It's just a waiting game at the moment. Stand by to stand by.
Having already spent over $120,000 on his precious new purchase, he cannot afford to see the salvage run into another day.
Exciting, it is exciting. Well, I just want to see it all up and hopefully all goes smoothly.
Righto, boys.
Oh, there it is. Oh, you're kidding. Something looks wrong, that's not right. It's not sitting straight, it's on its side.
Get up the bow, get up the bow. It comes very fast, very hard, very quick.
We're extremely close to the bottom floor.
The SKS Duro and its 120,000 tons of highly flammable cargo is just half a metre from scraping the bottom of the harbour.
We can see it for ourselves, the dirt, that'll definitely be indicating to us that we're right on the limit, that half a metre from the seabed right now.
Speed is critical. Harbour pilot Dale and tug captain Dom must slowly manoeuvre the dangerous payload through the shallowest part of the harbour.
So basically what happens at speed, the vessel creates a suction effect, which sucks it closer and closer to the sea floor, which reduces that underkill clearance.
This suction effect is called squat and has led to big ships grounding, including the famous Queen Elizabeth II. Water squeezes between the hull and the sea floor, creating an area of low pressure that sucks the entire ship even closer to the seabed.
If Dale's going too fast here, and we do get sucked to the bottom, we're obviously going to make contact with the sea floor. but it's also going to make this ship impossible to steer.
Okay, Marguerite, straight astern, just easy weight for now, folks.
Martinique, straight astern, easy. We've just scraped through now. It's the heart rate's starting to drop a little bit.
Dale's skill and knowledge of the harbour has guided the supertanker past the shallowest section of the channel. But Dom's tugboat fleet still need to keep the Duro away from the harbour's most iconic landmarks and most inhabited residential areas.
Circular Quay, the second busiest ferry terminal in the world. There's a movement in and out of there roughly every 30 seconds. Several 100,000 commuters, so all the eyes are on us. I've been doing this for many, many years now, and it's still amazing when you look up and you see us going underneath this iconic structure. And it certainly puts into perspective the size of the ships that we're bringing through this harbour.
With only 4 metres of clearance beneath the bridge, the Duro has just 900 metres to run. But up ahead, the team face a difficult 90-degree right turn into the fuel depot at Gore Cove.
Okay, Martinique, straight astern, easy weight again, thanks, Dom.
Martinique, straight astern, easy. Weight's coming on now.
Starboard 10.
So as we come into Gore Cove here, the dangers can often be unseen, being underneath the water. As we have such a large volume of ship under the water, in this case 13 metres, the currents affect this ship greatly. And here even half a knot of current, so very little current, can move this ship very, very quickly sideways and out of our wanted track.
Hard to starboard. Martinique, up to 3/4, port quarter.
Martinique, 3/4, port quarter. It's doing the turn at the moment.
Simon Tina, stop.
Simon Tina, stop.
We can now see the terminal just up here on the left. The end is almost in sight.
The Duro supertanker is one of the most dangerous payloads to ever come through Sydney Harbour. And pilot Dale and Dom's tugboat team have delivered it safely and without incident.
Okay, we're all finished with the Martinique. Thanks, Dom, nice job. I will catch you on the next one.
Thanks, Dale. Likewise, lovely job. We'll see you soon. Thank you. We delivered our customer safely to the berth and our ship, and that's a good day. No damage to anything or anyone. So yeah, it's a job well done by everyone.
Anybody on board?
Greg, I'm jumping across.
Okay.
Marine rescue is responding to a sinking vessel. Attempts at contacting the boat's owner have been unsuccessful.
Hello, is there anyone on board? Hello?
Nobody on board?
Nobody on board.
The water's at the back here. I'm assuming it's in the engine well here. Wow, look at that. Shit. Bloody hell. There's a lot of water in that. If we don't get the water out, it will sink.
The water level is close to submerging the $100,000 diesel engines.
The biggest issue here is the electrical damage. All those cables underwater.
It's the salt water in everything else.
Salt water is 500 times more conductive than fresh water. Exposed wiring could trigger a fire or electrocute the crew.
So it's sucking it from here and pumping it out there. It won't remedy the problem in terms of the water's coming in from somewhere.
Copy, Marine Rescue. Water police have contacted the owner who's on the way to the vessel now. We will pump as much as we can to make the vessel safe, but it'll be up to them to fix the leak. Over.
The portable bilge pumps will remove over 5,000 litres of water per hour. But it will all be for nothing if they can't identify where the leak is coming from.
Vessels generally have an electronic automatic bilge pump. So when water comes into the engine well, it starts pumping it out. So all the electricals are covered underwater. So I would imagine that that's shot the fuse, the circuit breaker. We've turned it all off for our safety. We'll be able to get the majority of this water out.
Ah, we might have our leak.
Where?
There's water rushing in on that. So I think that's where the prop goes out.
The water appears to be coming in where the drive shaft connects the engines to the boat's propeller. Marine rescue has averted a costly disaster. It's now up to the boat owner to make some urgent repairs.
This is a typical day. We never know what's going to be around the corner. That boat is now safe.
We're going to go and have a bit of an investigation. I reckon the valve has shut itself, or there's a kink in that airline that prevented that whole port side from inflating.
Dive boss Nick's attempts to remove the Awesome from the path of oncoming container ships has hit a snag. The boat is sitting way too low for the team to start pumping water out.
Looks like one of our forward lift bags up through the bow thrusters kind of slipped, and it's come up on the other side, which has given it quite a heavy sort of, you know, it's quite heavy lifting on the starboard side. Or a valve might have opened up in the whole movement of it on the bottom.
With 1 hour of daylight remaining, Nick needs to remove the vessel from the busy shipping channel.
Probably going to have to inflate another lift bag over this side just to get that roll out of it. That's sort of still a bit of an unknown why she's lifting onto the left side there, but it doesn't really quite make sense at the moment. So you can plan for these things, best possible plan. It just, you know, it takes a couple of times to get there. It's not over until she's under tow.
The longer the vessel is allowed to drift on the surface, the greater the risk she becomes to approaching container ships.
Where we want to be is with an upright vessel and pumping water out at the moment. But unfortunately, boats don't necessarily do as they're told all the time.
A tugboat is brought in to move Awesome from blocking the busy shipping lane, where the salvage crew can refloat the vessel enough to start pumping the water out.
Guys in the tug have obviously done a great job of getting us in here. It's not necessarily where we'd like it to be at this hour, but it's safer than being in the shipping channel.
Yeah, it looks like a valve on this portside 2-tonner at the stern has come open. Get this one right, and I'm pretty sure we need to put more air in over here on the forward lift bag. And we can really see we've definitely got enough lift holding it up, floating from all over here. So I think let's plug some air into it, give it a go. It's a bittersweet feel, isn't it, really? But they're bloody emotional roller coaster. You ride the highs and the lows, and you've got a very humbling experience there. You get defeated all the time.
We're on the home stretch.
You're getting there.
Finally, the vessel is ready to be towed to the shipyard, and despite a costly salvage bill, Stephen's dream of restoring Awesome to her former glory is a little closer to becoming a reality.
You wouldn't be able to buy something like this, you'd probably have to get one built. So that's why I sort of thought, well, I could do the project and have something unique. Now I'm just looking forward to giving her a refit and getting back out on the water.
There's a lot of money to put into the vessel. She certainly needs a lot of love.
I reckon no matter how hard or easy a salvage is, there's never such thing as easy salvage, but they still give you the best results, you know. You still feel pretty stoked at the end of them. You can't complain about that. Nice way to finish up. Sun's setting, weather's good, boat's floating, boys are good.